afternoon. My name is Eilish MacAuliffe and I'm the Director of the Centre for Global Health at Trinity College. I'm delighted to chair the second speaker's presentation this afternoon. I suppose if I might just make a comment as somebody who's a bit of an outsider here. I mean, most of my research is about the broader issues of health systems and health service delivery, health access, and I haven't been intimately involved in this issue of gender-based violence or female genital mutilation. But I suppose, you know, I'm struck, today's International Women's Day. When we think of International Women's Day, we obviously think of the gender gap and closing the gender gap and how far we have to go on that agenda. You know, whether it's economically or in terms of equality in other areas. But I'm very struck by the number of people at this event today, and I think that's an indication of how high a priority this issue has become. And it's not to negate some of the other issues. I mean, economic independence is critical because we all know that you have a better chance of escaping violence if you're economically independent, but it doesn't prevent it from happening, which is why this is one of the most fundamental issues. If you think in terms of people's needs, I mean, after their physiological needs of hunger and thirst or whatever have been met, the next basic need for any human being is safety. And here we're talking about issues of safety and protection. And I think, you know, it's testament to the importance of this issue that there are so many people in this room today. The other thing I would like to say, again, I suppose from an outside perspective, is that often when you're intimately engaged with an issue like this and you see the stark statistics that we've been presented with in the excellent presentation, it's easy to become demoralised and to wonder, is there any end to this? Is there any solution? And just, I suppose, you know, from my perspective, I think there's been a lot of progress made in this area. And I think the next presentation will probably speak to this to some extent, because migrant women coming into this country and organisations like AKiDwA have woken us up here in Ireland to an issue that is, you know, as much an issue here as it is anywhere else in the world. I think you made reference to the fact that this is a worldwide issue, and it is. And Jim, you talked about the startling percentages of 80 to 90% of women in some developing countries that have experienced violence at some point in their lives. But in Europe, it's 20 to 30%. Now, I know that's far less, but it's still, you know, a quarter of all women that have experienced violence. So it's very much a worldwide issue, and it is very much an issue. Gender-based violence is very much an issue here in Ireland, and it is time we woke up to it. And I think it's through the work of, you know, many people in this room today and many people who are not, that this has become a real issue. And we have the female genital mutilation bill and all the attention that that has garnered and the awareness that that has raised. And, you know, credit to the people who push that forward, and to people, our own TDs and senators like Ivana Bacik and Jan O'Sullivan, Liz McManus, who really pushed that issue as well. But many people here in the room were involved as well. So I think I would like, you know, if one message comes out of today is that there is a concerted effort being made by many groups in this country, and it is making a difference, although there is a long way to go. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our next speaker. I'm sure she'll speak far more eloquently about the work that AKiDwA has been doing. So I'd like to introduce Alwiye Xusein, who is the Migrant Women's Health Coordinator in AKiDwA. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, I'm overwhelmed to be here today because it's it's a lot of things that are going on as part of the raising the awareness on the International Women's Day. There's a lot of things. So I'm here. I'm also excited. There are other things that are happening in Ireland in order to mark this huge day. The only sad thing is that even though we're marking the International Women's Day, there are things that are still happening that shouldn't be happening at this day and age. And one of them is female genital mutilation, which is what I'm going to be talking about. Basically, AKiDwA was established in 2001 by a group of African women living in Ireland. They were experiencing difficulties to integrate within the society in Ireland, and they decided through those difficulties to come together as a group and form AKiDwA. And AKiDwA actually is a Swahili phrase from eastern countries of Africa, which means sisters. And for those 7 women actually who were from Africa, they felt like they needed the comfort and the sharing of their burden within their sisters. So that's how the name came about. And now it's a network of migrant women. We grew from just the African group that we were in 2001 to become the network of migrant women now in Ireland. In 2012, we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. Last year, we are 10 years old, and we are a national organization. So basically, the organization oversees abroad by a board, and we have currently 8 staff that are employed by AKiDwA. We promote equality and for migrant women in Irish society, free from gender and stereotyping. Basically, we wanted a society whereby migrant women feel that they are accepted and who they are within, irrespective of their background within the Irish community. Our mission is, again, to promote equality, justice for migrant women living in Ireland, and we have a vision whereby it's just a society where all equal opportunities and equal access to resources are aspects of society are accepted, which are social, cultural, economic, and social and political. We have areas of work that AKiDwA based most of our work on, which is currently we are building the capacity of migrant women and within their groups. Basically, we want to empower migrant women through their daily lives and to deal with the issues that affect them themselves, to stand up and represent themselves. We raise awareness on migrant women's issues that they're being faced within the host society in Ireland, and we also work on influencing policies and practice and legislation that mainly affects migrant women in Ireland. By also strengthening the capacity of organization, we felt we can go forward and bring this, the whole vision we have for AKiDwA in Ireland much more further. Basically, even though we have those 4 strategies that we follow, but we have 3 key themes that since 2008 AKiDwA have based their projects and their work, which are employment, gender discrimination, and gender-based violence. And here why today I'm here to talk about female genital mutilation, as our previous speaker have said, as one form of gender-based violence. Female genital mutilation is still one of the most horrifying practice that is still happening in the world. So what is female genital mutilation? Basically, World Health Organization 2008 definition says female genital mutilation comprises of all procedures involving partial and total removal of female external genitalia and or other injuries to female genital organs for non-medical reason. I go to Trinity, and I'm proud to say that I've been very lucky to be invited to give lectures to most of the medical students that go through Trinity. I see some faces that are familiar that maybe have attended my lectures in Trinity. And basically, I give this definition, and I said for them it's very important because they said, okay, we are medical students, we're going through Trinity here to get when we get our qualification, we might need to do injuries to the external genitalia as part of the procedure to help those women that will come across. Basically, the definition actually covers them in a way that if you don't have a medical reason behind injuring that part of the organ of a woman's body, then you're not doing female genital mutilation. So just to give you an idea, where is female genital mutilation? Basically, it's documented through 28 countries in Africa, saying that we have reasons that is happening in Middle East, in Far East, and even in States. There are different types I'm not going to go through. Depending on the types and the reasons why they're doing it, they varies across. We have 5% in Niger, female population in Niger, and up to 98%, actually that figure has gone up now, in Egypt of female population would have gone through female genital mutilation. I have mentioned there are a few countries that with a high prevalence, which include Eritrea, that 98%, Ethiopia at 80%, Mali 92%, Sierra Leone 98%. Somalia among the highest is 98%, and Sudan is 90%. Now, these figures are basically present differently in the countries, the way the female population at the age when female genital mutilation is performed, and also at the it estimates on the statistic that I'll go through later on to tell you what are the stats in Ireland in represent where we're concerning about female genital mutilation. So basically, the female population of this country, that would be the percent taken from the population statistic of the countries. And World Health Organization estimated that about 100 to 140 million girls and women are alive today who have undergone some form of female genital mutilation. With that, we have 500,000 who are in Europe today. That was estimated by the Gender Studies Equity in Europe. And with 8,000 girls who undergo FGM every day. We had 3 million girls who are at risk of it annually just in Africa. I said there are other parts that is being done. And what the peak age that this practice has been done is between 5 and 12 years old. And it also varies within the tribe, culture, and region. What I was saying before, the countries that I gave you the preference, the time when it's performed, and also the region where it's been performed gives you the overall of what. Now, what I have there in Ireland. In Ireland, we have statistics that were based on the census 2006. AKiDwA did this research in 2008 based on those figures. And we took the country's census on the age of the countries of origin and the prevalence rate that from that country and those time that the census we have at that time. And we estimated that in 2006 that based on those figures there were 2,585 women who are in Ireland with FGM. And then we went back in 2010 and did the same studies again, and that figures has gone up to 3,170 girls and women who are estimated being in Ireland with FGM. So basically, in Ireland, given the migration trend into the country, and what we have seen that the migration has increased from the countries with the high prevalence of FGM. That's why the figures are going up. But saying that, we still need a lot of services, a lot of support for the women that are still missing within the health services, within the asylum process, within the communities, the social services that are there to be aware of this thing, that in order to support these women who are now part of the Irish community. So AKiDwA, what have we done as an organization? Since 2001, we have been working with coalition with COOLOF, and we also supported the first booklet in Ireland on the FGM that was produced by COOLOF. COOLOF and other organizations such as AKiDwA and other NGOs were lobbying for female genital mutilation following their work on it, and we still, since 2001, we still don't have it. As previous speaker said, that Liz McManus was the first person in Ireland to introduce the bill in the Dáil in 2001 asking, but it took us more than 10 years to actually come up with something that hopefully we will have, but it's still being in process of passing through the Dáil, and hopefully it will be soon becoming a law. In 2005, AKiDwA was supported by IFPA. We have organized 5 focus group discussion in Athlone with 15 women that were from the practicing community. Basically, we believe if a practice is to be abandoned, it has to be coming from the people that practice that practice to be left behind. I could not go and say to a community that are doing something that they shouldn't do it by just being an outsider, but the need to stop doing something has to be done, or has to come from the community or from the people who are doing it. So we went back to these women who are from the practicing communities and asked them, what are their understanding of the FGM, what are their views of it, and what would they need if it was to something that they wouldn't want to live. So through those focus group, we actually identified that there is lack of services to support them in Ireland. They would also like to be understood that that is a part of their culture in Ireland and part of who they are living in Ireland. This is their culture, but still they would like the support and understanding from the health services so they come in contact with while living in Ireland. They would like to be looked upon as equal, but at the same time understanding of what this practice is and where they're coming from. But saying that, they're also saying that even though they're in Ireland, some of the women, they still would want to leave FGM behind. But still, they're getting the phone calls, the pressure from their home country saying that you have a little girl who's 6 years old. She's at the age where she should go through the ceremony of having female genital mutilation done. You need to find a way of bringing her home, or you need to find a way of having it done before it's too late for her. So sense of the belonging of community and not knowing whether they're in Ireland for good, because some of these women who we came in contact with in 2005 would have been seeking asylum. So they're still kind of undecided whether they're going to stay in Ireland or they're going to go back to their home country. And by them disagreeing to the norms and value of their home country, they're actually saying, where will we end up if Ireland deports us there, and then their family are the ones which we didn't agree to, the things that they're asking us to do, where will we be going next? So basically they were looking for a support, a way to be actually protected in Ireland, and also to have a reason to tell their home country that, listen, now we're in Ireland, we have found our home in Ireland, and this is the practice that the Irish communities or the Irish government is actually not allowing to go on if you are would like to live in Ireland. So basically from that we kind of developed other things, and we also worked with HSE in 2005 in view of to input into the national intercultural health strategy. Basically, it also identified female genital mutilation as one of the aspects that needs to be addressed, and it was very much going through consultation and see what needs to be put in place in the health services in Ireland. So that was also good. We, through the funding through of HSE Social Inclusion Unit, we worked with the National Action Plan on the area of health. National Action Plan, maybe just to give you an address, was a funding that AKiDwA and other NGOs that came together. It was through European Commission to put a National Action Plan in 2008, whereby there was a need to have countries in Europe to have developed a national action plan to address female genital mutilation in their countries. So basically Ireland, that was a plan that was led by Irish Family Planning Association, and AKiDwA supported that. But we have other organizations such as Amnesty International, Children's Rights Alliance, UNICEF, Barbados, Christian Aid, Irish Aid, who came together, sat on the table and discussed what would they see visible into go into this plan to address female genital mutilation in view of Ireland, and also what would be appropriate to address as an issue in the Irish context. So through that National Action Plan, it actually advises on 5 key areas, and HSE picked the health aspect of it and funded AKiDwA to progress that strategy of health further, to see through educating their health services practices in Ireland, through developing resources that would actually inform the healthcare professionals in Ireland about female genital mutilation, raising awareness within communities, and also engaging with the communities on how to abandon the practice. So then in 2008, we received funding from Minister of Health, Minister of Integration Office on implementation of the project, a specific project on FGM. Basically, through this project, what we did was establish a forum whereby a group of professionals came together, and we looked upon how we can incorporate female genital mutilation in the guidelines for the healthcare professionals in Ireland, and also have an aspect that could come and look on the ways how we could use it to actually raise awareness within the communities as well. So the Health Forum input into the health resources on female genital mutilation, and basically they met 6 times, and mostly it was an input from other view of how they come across. We had women who were working abroad and their experiences of coming through to meet a family that are going through FGM or a ceremony of that, and what would have been their views or their experiences on that. We basically also, through that project, we have delivered information sessions to 3 main maternity hospitals, saying that in AKiDwA, I mentioned before, we are 8 staffed organization at the moment. I'm the only migrant women health coordinator who goes around to give sessions on female genital mutilation. So it's actually depending on the funding available, that's how we actually managed to go and spread the information on FGM. And now I'm on part-time basis. That means from last year I was full-time, this year I'm part-time. My times to go around and inform the healthcare professionals that are coming is kind of being reduced as well. So basically, we have managed to go to the 3 main hospitals, but the changing over of the staffs and the catchment that you come in contact with, when you go to the hospital, you only get the people who will be on shift at that day to actually listen to the sessions, and you miss like kind of the rest who are not there today or on holiday and all that. So basically, we would like this to be something that the hospital themselves would have to take on and inform their staffs on issue. And we have the resources. It's just a matter of agreeing with the hospitals. So as I've said, we have produced resources of female genital mutilation for healthcare professionals in Ireland. What was advised in that resource was specifically Irish based. So basically for our situation, we have picked and choose from other resources that we have kind of, when we were putting the resources together, that would be applicable to the Irish context. We have been delivering workshops to university, as I've said, and we continue to do so. We have worked with HSE. Now, this is what happens, because sometimes the women that comes to the hospital, would not regard female genital mutilation as something that is harmful to them, even though they would be experiencing difficulties by having it done themselves. But we would like them to get the information of what are the side effects of having female genital mutilation and relating that to female genital mutilation, what are the law in the country, and what are the existing services in Ireland to support the women who could be at risk or will have it done. So basically, following that, we worked with HSE to give information on FGM leaflet that should be accompanied to the medical charts that the women, or the information that they get when they go to the hospitals. And this is still in process. Everything is ready. The only thing is that, as Eilish have said, that is the female genital mutilation criminal bill justice is 2001 is on its final stages. So in this leaflet at the moment, the way we have it, it says there's no legislation in Ireland. So we are waiting for the legislation, and hopefully we will get soon to reprint this leaflet and send it out there. That would be something that it will be the real information and the fact that we have in Ireland so far. We have ever first research on the information, as I've said, the data that have in Ireland. We were the only one, we didn't have any researchers, so we did that. In 2009, we were very lucky to be able to give a presentation to the Joint Directors Committee on Health and Children. And we made recommendations through that presentation. And this, as I've said, what we were looking for, due to the staff and the funding that AKiDwA have, it's very difficult to reach all the students that are becoming doctors and nurses and midwife and social worker and psychiatrists in Ireland. It's very difficult to get to be able to reach them. Saying that if that FGM modules is included as part of their training, that would actually make it more easier for a work of someone like myself in AKiDwA, that it's part, someone else is teaching that module within their their education. So basically that was second recommendation that we made was we needed policies and guidelines in the healthcare settings. We needed them to be in places that the healthcare professional would know what to do when they are faced with women and girls who would have been have had the misfortune of going through female genital mutilation. But saying that if the guidelines and the policies are not in place, that means we cannot put services that are there to actually support and help the women when they come through their clinic. We have hospitals that are very much willing to work with AKiDwA by saying that given the time of economic crisis in Ireland, every cent counts. So I said, no, we can't spare a nurse and a doctor to just go and do this clinic because they're already short-staffed and they're already the lack of facilities that could happen. So this is still, for once the guideline and the policies are in place, then we could actually take the female the services very clearly that is needed in the hospitals. And then information for healthcare professionals could be available in the way that we wanted the healthcare professional who would specialize on the issues of FGM be part of the team in the maternity in the general hospital in Ireland that should identify this as one of a crucial area that needs to be looked upon, and saying that once we have that in place, that information needs to be shared not only within the Irish healthcare system, but to the communities that they would need this information to be able to know that in Mater Hospital in Dublin, you have a clinic 9 to 5 Friday afternoon that I could go if I need to have a talk with a psychiatric or a counselor because of the issues that I'm going through as in my life because of female genital mutilation that I had as a child. So that information is not there, and this service are not even there, but we needed that to be in place and also the information to be spread out to the communities in Ireland, and how as far as from the GP, from the public health nurse, as even the social worker who comes in contact with these women from this country should be able to give a woman, if she feels that this woman could be at risk of it, should be shared with the women. So far, as I've mentioned, we developed the National Action Plan to address female genital mutilation in Ireland. Now, saying that the plan was 3-year plan, so 2009-2000, we just finished, and we are part of the groups. We are doing evaluation of what has been achieved as part of the plan recommendation, and the groups that came together to put the plan together, we became the National Steering Committee. I've mentioned their names before. We are approximately the members who have left and the members who have joined in. The 15 members organization in the National Steering Committee. Basically, the work of the National Steering Committee is actually to look upon the key recommendation as per plan in Irish setting. We were lobbying for the legislation, and we continue to lobby as a group, the National Steering Committee, for legislation to be introduced in Ireland. We are lobbying for healthcare professionals to be informed and equipped to deal with FGM. We lobby to engage with the community. We lobby for asylum process to highlight FGM as a key area that could women fleeing their country on the basis of FGM to be granted asylum. And we also look on development aid abroad, whereby this practice is growing and growing from the country of origin, where we have the likes of Kenya, the like of Somalia, where it still is going on. 98% in Somalian girls who are born would have this practice. When we are engaging in development aid in those countries, we should have female genital mutilation as a priority. When Ireland go to Kenya and said, we're going to give you a development aid, but we would like for you as a country to actually strengthen your legislation to prohibit, because Ireland, we have a law saying we prohibit FGM, and we would like you also to strengthen your legislation to protect the girls and women in your country before we can even further up the discussion that we need to have. Again, in 2010, then Minister of Health, Mary Hearn, reintroduced the bill, female genital mutilation, and just last month it was discussed by and agreed by the committee, and it is now on its final stage. So we are very, very hopeful that it will be voted and legislation will be enacted in Ireland. We have in place the new maternity bookings. Someone asked about the methodology. Now in Ireland, when AKiDwA did their stats on female genital mutilation, we based them on a previous other country, how they came about. But what we are hoping that we should be in a position, we were very lucky, the maternity healthcare system were changing their system to becoming computerized. So we engaged with the HSE to include the aspect of female genital mutilation to be as a question that could be asked. And that charter, there have been in operation that computerized system since January this year, and we are hoping to actually maybe in a year or 2 years to be actually have more accurate data that these women who are going through the healthcare in Ireland, and how many of them have had FGM done, rather than just estimate as per country's prevalence. So that is actually one of the aspects that we are looking forward in the future to have new data. Awareness raising, we are still continuing, and we are training. We have so far over 3,000 healthcare professionals trained on the female genital mutilation, and we have still going around national. We were in Cork last year. We worked with the maternity hospital there, whereby we have people who are coming to us that you still need information on female genital mutilation, and they're getting in contact with the girls who would have been from the practicing community, but they don't know where to refer or how to handle the situation. So basically, we have had conferences to raise awareness. We raise awareness through the media, through publications, and also through campaigning to stop FGM in Ireland as a against human right. AKiDwA, we also work at the European level. By that, we work with the European End FGM campaign, which is led by Amnesty International Ireland. At the beginning, if you would remember, I mentioned that the European funding for developing the National Action Plan, that was part of the 15 organization came to in Ireland. Now, in Europe, there are other countries that at the same time prepared and developed their own National Action Plan. And the plan also are finishing, their plan are finishing in 2011. They are evaluating. So coming 2012, all of the representatives from that campaign would go back and see which countries actually managed to achieve their recommendation as per their plan, and that will be actually very much kind of something that we would like to see how Ireland did in the rest of the Europe, because Ireland, we went through the whole idea from at the time when we didn't have legislation, and now we're nearly getting one, and what other aspect that could be included. We are hoping to do that. AKiDwA have attempted to be part of the Gender-Based Violence Consortium since 2007, and I'm afraid we haven't reached there yet, but we are very hopefully. If we fight long, they'll let us in. But we would actually, we won't give up the fight. We think this is something that AKiDwA would actually enrich the Gender Consortium if we become part of it, and with our expertise. And it's great to acknowledge that the Gender Consortium have taken on the female genital mutilation, and we have worked previously in other occasion, and we actually find them a very good support and ally during most of our work in Ireland. So these are just a few of our publication. I just picked a few based on the area we had produced in 2008, Understanding Gender-Based Violence, an African Perspective, launched in 2008. This is basically I think it was mentioned that women, how they see violence in their life, how would they kind of accept this is my role as a wife for my husband to go through or to beat me. This is my culture. I shouldn't actually question when he wants, if he doesn't show violence, that means he doesn't care. We wanted to go back to the community, and actually now in Ireland, women have rights, and we could actually bring that aspect of you as an African. How do you see, or what is your understanding on gender-based violence, and what do you see? What would you say yes, this is violence, and no, this is not violence. So it was through that we launched a publication. And then the female genital mutilation information for healthcare professionals. This was very successful. We did it in partnership with Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, and we produced over 3,000 copies, and CD-ROMs, I think over 1,000 CD-ROMs. They're all gone. The only thing, it was such a good publication. In that publication, we're still kind of lobbying for the legislation. And we're saying there's no legislation in Ireland. Please bring the legislation to support and protect and prevent the future generation who will be born in Ireland to be brought out of the country for such practice to have it done to them. But HSC said, yes, this is a very good publication, but would you not wait till we get the legislation? And then we changed that sentence. Oh, even in Ireland now we have a legislation. So we are still hoping that we'll get and reprint that, because that was most successful publication through the feedback that we got through the university, the hospitals, and the other people that used it. They found it very useful. Now, we did a public information leaflet that was funded by End FGM campaign Europe in 2011. This basically to give a very a small brief information on FGM, what it is, and also to give you an idea of what is needed in Ireland. So it was just a one-pager leaflet, which is also being circulated very widely in Ireland. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Alwiye, for that very powerful story. And as somebody who does research in policy reform and approaches to change, I'm very impressed with the approach you took in terms of addressing this issue. You know, being very open and collaborative, but also attacking it at all levels. And really attacking is what I mean, that you didn't just focus on one aspect of it, that you really went to the highest levels to try and get this issue addressed. And I think, you know, it's evident in terms of the progress you've made to date. So I'd like to open up the floor to see if there are questions in the audience for Alwiye. Yes? Is there a mic somewhere?
Hi, thanks very much for your presentation. Yeah, I'm from Trinity College as well, Peace Studies program. I'm just curious, I know actually very little about this particular area, but from what I do know, that there are some associations of FGM with the transition into womanhood, and that it's a cultural or religious practice. And so I was just wondering if you're pursuing any alternative customs for this to replace it in terms of this transition to womanhood, because I had once heard someone speak about this as trying to replace. You can't just take something away, so you put something else that's more positive and healthy in its place. So I was just curious if you know anything about that. Thank you.
Do you want to answer that, or will I take a few together? Okay. There's one here.
Hi, thank you again for your very interesting presentation. I was just curious, do you think there is a relationship between certain child abduction cases being removed and taken home to get this practice done? And if so, do you think that's also another area of policy that needs to be looked at in the Irish context as well? Thanks.
Yes.
Hi, just in terms of the FGM bill, I'm just wondering whether it addresses the issue of people leaving the country to get the practice, or to have the practice done to them. And I know obviously it can be used as, you know, a lobbying and an advocacy tool abroad, but I mean, obviously, you know, abortion is illegal here, but it doesn't stop people leaving and getting it done elsewhere. So I'm just wondering how that's going to be addressed.
Okay, maybe if you want to make a start, then the first question is the female child to adult transition.
As point of where AKiDwA is concerned, we haven't really looked into getting something to replace female genital mutilation. We just think it's a practice that should stop, and we are at the moment in the stages of actually informing the communities and actually empowering the communities themselves to stand up for it and saying this is one practice that we should do without. So basically, we don't want anything to be actually, if you don't to go to the details that if you don't do this type of FGM, do this type is much more better, or to actually still keep the practices going in a way that to actually still make it's good to be done, but in a view that we're not actually cutting or removing or injuring, but you're still making the whole idea still alive within some communities that needs to be continuing female as a practice. So what I would say in that regard, rather than replacing it, is actually stopping and find another way that you call a ceremony. In Ireland, you have hen night, which is very, very popular. That is something that I've very much been very proud to be part of. But I wouldn't say as far as female genital mutilation, it should be something that should actually replace it. It just needs to stop, that's all. Okay. And to the question of abduction, basically, we haven't come across any news that there are children that have been brought outside the country for the purpose of female genital mutilation. Saying that, it was in 2005 when the women themselves saying that we're still getting the pressure from home. The phone call still comes to Ireland. We are in Ireland, miles away from home, but still, we still get those phone calls coming to us. You have a young girl who is age. They're saying that once those women are guaranteed safety and their life in Ireland, then they could stand up to their family and say, listen, hello, I've left that life now. I'm an Irish. I live by the Irish law. But once you haven't transitioned that stage, then it's more harder to actually to agree or disagree. So basically, you can only defer it so much, and then you give in to the community that you know, I belong to that community. No matter what I do, they will still take me as part of that community. So, but saying AKiDwA, we haven't come across such evidence. That has happened in Ireland so far. And to the last question in relation to the bill, basically the first time when we were given consultation chances to put through, it was one of the things that we basically fight very hard to have it include in the bill, the extraterritoriality, whereby a young girl or a child cannot be brought outside the country for the purpose of FGM. Now, I am very proud to say that that was taken up, and it is the part of the bill as it is at the moment. However, saying there are other aspects in the view if the child goes back to a country where female genital mutilation is legal, then unfortunately this bill does not protect that child. And in a place whereby the child does not come back to Ireland, even though she's Irish citizen, then this bill does not protect. We have a protection in a way the Irish government can persecute a person coming back to Ireland, taking an Irish child who is an Irish citizen or an Irish resident to a country to perform female genital mutilation and then come back. Then Irish government can prosecute that parent or that person. Other than that, I'm afraid we don't have the help.
Okay, further questions?
Thanks very much. Just to comment more than anything, my name is Pauline Conway. I'm a retired Irish diplomat, and I just wanted to follow up on the point you were making about the issue of combating FGM as part of Ireland's development cooperation policy. First of all, I'd say that as part of Irish Aid's commitment to gender equality, this is an issue that we would be very conscious of, working in partner countries in Africa, particularly in, say, for example, Ethiopia, which is the country I worked in most recently. There, we supported a number of local NGOs who were working on this issue, such as the Ethiopian Women Lawyers Association and also an organisation called the Combata Women's Group, which did very public work on combating FGM in their local community, and were very successful. Like AKiDwA, they worked on changing attitudes among the community, and one of the things, for example, that they did was introduce ceremonies of celebrating and rewarding publicly girls who had not gone through FGM. And I mean, that obviously got a lot of local publicity and helped to increase awareness and to promote a positive approach against FGM. Thanks.
I believe we have some younger members in the audience, some schoolgirls at the back of the room somewhere. I'm just wondering if any of them would like an input into this. Maybe not a question, but reaction to the presentations. I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but if you'd like to contribute, the mic is there. Anyone else? Do you want to say anything else, Alwiye?
Maybe just something that AKiDwA strongly believe is knowledge is power, and female genital mutilation is a practice that has been there for centuries, and when it's to stop is for the person that practices it to have the knowledge that what we are doing is not right, and the reason that we are doing it, it's also not achieving the reason. So basically, for giving the knowledge and the education about the harmness of such practice, I think it's more putting the reality out there that they know, they understand, and then they make the informed decision that this is practice. I very much agree to actually give the stage for those women and for those girls who haven't been victim of female genital mutilation to be honored and to be respected as women in the society, but at the same time is also to give the way of the practice and the harmness of it to be stopped completely within the community. So this will be my last kind of statement to the female genital mutilation. Thank you.